This is the story of Boaz, the kinsman redeemer. The sun stretched wide across the hills of Bethlehem, painting the land with golden light. Fields of barley once rippled like waves in the breeze, but now the ground was cracked and dry. Streams trickled into silence. The animals grew thin, and the baskets in every home were nearly empty. People whispered in the markets, shaking their heads. Bethlehem, the house of bread, has no bread. Inside a modest home, Naomi looked at her husband, Elimelech, her eyes full of worry. "Our jars are empty," she said softly. "How will our sons eat?" Elimelech took her hand. His face was lined with care, but his voice was steady. "We cannot stay here, Naomi. God will provide, but perhaps not in Bethlehem. Word has spread that there is food in the land of Moab. We must go there until the famine ends." Their sons, Mahlon and Kilian, stood nearby with lowered heads. They loved Bethlehem, the hills where they played as children, the olive groves that shaded their village. But they could not argue. The land was bare. The family loaded their donkeys with the little they owned: blankets, jars, and tools. Naomi turned once more toward Bethlehem, the city of her ancestors, her heart aching. She whispered, "Lord, keep us." Then she followed her husband and sons down the dusty road toward Moab. Little did Naomi know that this journey of sorrow would one day lead to the story of Boaz, the Redeemer God had chosen. Moab was a land of green fields and tall palm trees. Initially, life was easier there. Elimelech's family found food, and Naomi gave thanks. Years passed. Mahlon and Kilian grew into men. They both married Moabite women. Mahlon's wife was named Ruth, and Kilian's wife was named Orpah. Naomi embraced them as daughters, but then came sorrow. First, Elimelech grew sick and died. Naomi wept by his grave, clutching her sons. "Do not leave me," she pleaded. Yet after 10 years in Moab, Mahlon and Kilian also grew ill, and one by one, they too died. Naomi's world crumbled. She was left with nothing but her 2 young daughters-in-law. One morning, Naomi heard travelers speaking. "The Lord has blessed Bethlehem again. The famine is over. The harvest has returned." Her heart stirred. She longed for home. Gathering her cloak, she said to Orpah and Ruth, "My daughters, I am going back to Bethlehem. But you return to your mothers. You are young. You may marry again. I have nothing more to give you. My hands are empty." Orpah kissed Naomi goodbye, tears streaming down her face, and she walked away. But Ruth clung tightly to Naomi's arm. "Don't urge me to leave you or turn back. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God is my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates us." Naomi's eyes overflowed. She held Ruth close. "My daughter, let us go together." And so the 2 widows set out on the long road to Bethlehem. The journey was weary, but they arrived just as the barley harvest began. The town stirred with whispers. "Naomi has returned. But who is this foreign woman with her?" Naomi lifted her hands, worn and empty. "Do not call me Naomi, which means pleasant. Call me Mara, for the Lord has made my life bitter." But God had not forgotten Naomi. In Ruth's loyalty, his hand of redemption was already at work. Chapter 3. The Fields of Boaz. Bethlehem awoke with the sounds of harvest. Sickles cut through tall barley, workers bound sheaves, and laughter filled the air as bundles piled high. According to God's law, the poor and the foreigner could walk behind the reapers and pick up what was left. This was called gleaning. Ruth rose early, covering her head with a scarf, and went to the fields. Her hands trembled, but her heart was steady. "I will gather food for us, Naomi," she promised. Her feet carried her across the valley to a large field. Strong men worked in the sun, and women gathered behind them. Ruth bent low, collecting stray stalks. Sweat ran down her face, but she did not stop. That field belonged to Boaz, a man of wealth and honor, well known in the city of Bethlehem. His workers loved him, for whenever he arrived, his voice rang out, "The Lord be with you," and they would answer, "The Lord bless you." That day, Boaz came to check on the harvest. His eyes scanned the field, and they fell upon a young woman he did not know. She worked harder than anyone, gathering grain with quiet dignity. "Whose young woman is that?" Boaz asked his overseer. "She is the Moabite who came back with Naomi," the overseer replied. "She has worked from morning till now with hardly a rest." Boaz's heart stirred with kindness. He walked toward her. Ruth looked up, startled as a tall man approached. His eyes were kind, and his voice warm. "My daughter, listen to me. Don't go to another field. Stay here with my servant girls. I have ordered the men not to harm you. And when you are thirsty, drink from the jars my men have filled." Ruth bowed low to the ground. "Why have I found such favor in your eyes, since I am a foreigner?" Boaz smiled. "I know all that you have done for Naomi, how you left your father and mother and came to live with a people you did not know. May the Lord reward you for your kindness. May you be richly blessed by the God of Israel, under whose wings you have taken refuge." Ruth's eyes filled with tears. "You have comforted me and spoken kindly to me, though I do not even belong to your people." At mealtime, Boaz called her to eat with his workers. He offered her bread dipped in vinegar and roasted grain. Ruth ate until she was satisfied and saved some for Naomi. Later, Boaz whispered to his men, "Let her gather even among the sheaves. Do not scold her. Leave extra stalks for her to pick." That evening, Ruth returned to Naomi with an abundance of grain. Naomi's eyes widened. "Where did you glean today? May the man who noticed you be blessed." "The man's name is Boaz," Ruth replied. Naomi's hands trembled with hope. "Boaz, he is one of our kinsman redeemers." The night settled softly over Bethlehem. Naomi sat with Ruth in the glow of an oil lamp, the grain Ruth had gathered piled nearby in baskets. For the first time in years, Naomi's heart felt a spark of hope. "My daughter," Naomi said, "Boaz is a close relative of ours. He is a kinsman redeemer, someone who can rescue our family line. It is no accident that you found his field. The Lord is at work." Ruth leaned closer. "What must I do?" Naomi's voice was gentle but firm. "Boaz is threshing barley tonight at the threshing floor. When he has eaten and drunk and lies down to rest, notice the place where he lies. Go and uncover his feet, then lie down. He will tell you what to do." Ruth's heart raced. It was an unusual custom, but she trusted Naomi. "I will do whatever you say," she whispered. That night, Ruth washed, put on her best clothes, and went quietly to the threshing floor. The air smelled of grain, and the sound of winnowing filled the night. She watched as Boaz ate, drank, and lay down at the far end of the pile of barley. When he fell asleep, she approached softly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. At midnight, Boaz stirred. Shivering, he reached for his cloak and found a woman lying at his feet. Startled, he sat up. "Who are you?" "I am Ruth, your servant," she answered softly. "Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a kinsman redeemer." Boaz's heart swelled with admiration. "The Lord bless you, my daughter. You have not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor. You have shown kindness greater than before, staying loyal to Naomi and her family. Do not fear, I will do all that you ask. Everyone in town knows you are a woman of noble character. But there is another man more closely related than I. If he redeems you, good. If not, as surely as the Lord lives, I will redeem you myself." Ruth lay at his feet until morning, comforted by his words. At dawn, Boaz filled Ruth's shawl with 6 measures of barley. "Do not go back to Naomi empty-handed," he said. When Ruth returned home, Naomi eagerly listened as Ruth recounted all that had happened. Naomi smiled, her eyes shining with faith. "Wait, my daughter, until you see how the matter turns out. Boaz will not rest until he has settled this today." Boaz, true to his word, went to the town gate where legal matters were settled. The elders of Bethlehem gathered there. Soon, the nearer kinsman arrived. Boaz called out, "Come, sit here, my friend." When they were seated, Boaz spoke before the elders. "Naomi, who has returned from Moab, is selling the land that belonged to our brother Elimelech. You are the nearest kinsman. Will you redeem it?" The man nodded. "I will redeem it." But Boaz added, "On the day you acquire the land, you must also marry Ruth the Moabitess, to maintain the name of the dead with his property." The man's face fell. "Then I cannot redeem it, lest I endanger my own estate. You redeem it." According to custom, he removed his sandal and handed it to Boaz, sealing the matter before the elders. Boaz turned to the witnesses, his voice strong. "You are witnesses this day that I have bought all that belonged to Elimelech, Mahlon, and Chilion. I have also taken Ruth the Moabitess as my wife, to maintain the name of the dead. His name will not disappear from among his family or from the town records." The elders and all the people at the gate declared, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make this woman like Rachel and Leah, who built the house of Israel. May your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah." The wedding of Boaz and Ruth filled Bethlehem with joy. The town gathered in the square, musicians played flutes and drums, and children scattered flowers along the path. Ruth walked with grace, her eyes lowered, yet her face glowed with peace. The women of Bethlehem whispered, "See how the Lord has blessed Naomi through this foreigner." Boaz stood waiting, his cloak flowing over his shoulders. When Ruth joined him, he lifted his voice. "This union is not for us alone, it is for the honor of the God of Israel, who brings the stranger under his wings and redeems the brokenhearted. The vows were made, the blessings spoken, and laughter filled the air. Naomi stood nearby, tears of joy upon her cheeks. Once she had said, "The Lord has made my life bitter," but now, she whispered, "He has not forsaken me." In time, the Lord gave Ruth and Boaz a son. The women of Bethlehem gathered around Naomi, placing the child in her arms. Praise be to the Lord who has not left you without a redeemer today. May he become famous in Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons, has given him birth. Naomi rocked the baby, her heart overflowing. She who once felt empty now held fullness in her arms. She named the boy Obed, which means servant of God. Obed grew strong, and from him came Jesse, the father of David. And from David's line, generations later, would come the greatest Redeemer of all, Jesus Christ, born in Bethlehem. Like this, Boaz lived a life of honor, remembered for his kindness, his strength, and his faithfulness to God's law. The story of Boaz points to something greater. Just as Boaz redeemed Ruth, so Jesus Christ redeems all who trust in him. Boaz welcomed Ruth, a foreigner. Jesus welcomes all people. For more stories like this, please like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. We love you.